My dad's coffin hadn't even been lowered into the ground yet when his lawyer leaned over and whispered, "Don't leave. There's another document, and it changes everything." He wasn't kidding. What I found in that envelope, yeah, it made me wish my father had stayed dead in more ways than one. The fog rolled through Napa Valley that October morning like it was trying to hide something. Maybe it was. I stood there in my black lace dress, mascara already ruined, gripping whiskey's leash like it was the only thing keeping me standing. My golden retriever pressed against my leg, sensing my anxiety. He'd been doing that a lot since the divorce, and now here we were again at another ending. Except this one was supposed to be final. "Olivia, darling, you look absolutely tragic," Vanessa purred, floating past me in a designer morning outfit that probably cost more than my rent for 3 months. My stepmother, my ex-best friend from high school. The woman who married my father 6 months after meeting him at my 25th birthday party. Yeah, that Vanessa. She was 32, only 4 years older than me, and she'd managed to snag my 60-year-old father faster than you could say gold digger. Though knowing Vanessa, she preferred strategic life optimizer. The funeral was everything Elliot Carter would have wanted: ostentatious, expensive, and full of people pretending to mourn while mentally calculating what they might inherit. The vineyard stretched behind us, 40 acres of premium grapes that had built the Carter fortune over 3 generations. Fog clung to the vines like secrets nobody wanted to discuss. That's when I saw him. A man I'd never seen before, standing under the old oak tree at the edge of the cemetery. Mid-30s, dark hair, wearing a suit that didn't quite fit the Napa Valley elite crowd. He was staring right at me, not at the coffin, not at Vanessa playing the grieving widow. At me. Whiskey growled low in his throat. "Easy boy," I murmured, but my skin prickled with unease. The service droned on. The priest talked about my father's generous spirit and dedication to family. I almost laughed. Elliot Carter had been dedicated to exactly 3 things: his vineyard, his money, and controlling everyone around him. Family was just something he collected, like his vintage wines, to display when it suited him. After they lowered him into the ground, everyone headed back to the estate for the reception. That's when Mr. Rhodes, the family lawyer, grabbed my elbow. "Miss Carter, a word, can it wait? I need wine. Lots of wine." "I'm afraid not." His gray eyes darted to Vanessa, who was already climbing into the lead car. "The will reading is in an hour. Don't be late." "And Olivia?" He leaned closer, his breath smelling like peppermint and secrets. "Whatever happens in there, just remember, your father always played the long game." The mahogany conference room at Rhodes and Associates had witnessed 3 generations of Carter family drama. The walls practically sweated privilege and old money. I sat across from Vanessa, who'd changed into a crimson dress that screamed "Merry Widow." My older brother Marcus sat to her right, already checking his phone for stock prices. He'd flown in from New York just for this, barely staying long enough to throw dirt on the coffin. "Where's Ashley?" I asked, noticing my younger sister's absence. "Rehab," Marcus said flatly. Again, of course Dad's perfect family portrait was missing a piece, but then again, when wasn't it? Mr. Rhodes cleared his throat and opened the thick folder. "The last will and testament of Elliot James Carter, executed 3 months ago." 3 months ago? That was right after. "To my son Marcus Carter, I leave my collection of rare wines, valued at approximately $2 million, and a trust fund of $5 million, to be accessed upon his 40th birthday. Marcus nodded, unsurprised. "The golden son getting his golden parachute." "To my daughter Ashley Carter, I leave a rehabilitation trust of $3 million, to be administered by the family lawyer until she maintains sobriety for 5 consecutive years. Tough love from beyond the grave." Classic dad. "To my daughter Olivia May Carter," I held my breath. Whiskey, who'd been allowed in as my emotional support animal, whined softly. "I leave my collection of first edition books and my grandfather's pocket watch." The room went silent. That was it? Books and a watch? The books were maybe worth $50,000. The watch was sentimental but not particularly valuable. Vanessa's lips twitched into a smile she tried to hide. "And to my beloved wife, Vanessa Carter, I leave the remainder of my estate, including the vineyard, the main house, all remaining assets, and controlling interest in Carter Wines Incorporated." The words hit like punches. Everything. She got everything. This is bullshit, I said, standing up so fast my chair scraped against the floor. Olivia, please, Mr. Rhodes said, but I was already heading for the door. His voice was sharp enough to stop me. There's one more thing. He pulled out a second envelope, sealed with red wax bearing my father's initials. This was to be given to you only after the primary will was read. My hands shook as I took it. The paper inside was different. Older, handwritten in my father's distinctive scrawl. Olivia, if you're reading this, it means I'm dead and you're angry. Good. Anger is useful. The truth is, you were never meant to inherit through the traditional will. That was for show for them. Your real inheritance requires you to earn it. Go to the old cellar under the original farmhouse. Bring the dog. Trust no one, especially not family. The combination is your mother's death date. What you find there will change everything, but only if you have the stomach for it. Remember, blood makes you related, but secrets make you family. E.c. My mouth went dry. The original farmhouse had been abandoned for 20 years, supposedly structurally unsound after the earthquake of 2003. What does it say? Vanessa asked, her voice tight. Nothing important, I lied, folding the letter back up. Just Dad being cryptic and cruel as usual. But Mr. Rhodes was watching me with an expression I couldn't read. Miss Carter, I should mention there's a codicil to the will, a rather unusual one. What kind of codicil? Marcus asked. If any beneficiary is found to have contributed to Mr. Carter's death, either directly or indirectly, their inheritance is forfeit and redistributed among the remaining heirs. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Are you suggesting someone killed him? Vanessa's voice pitched higher. He had a heart attack. The autopsy confirmed it. I'm not suggesting anything, Mr. Rhodes said calmly. I'm simply reading the will as written. That's when the door burst open, and the stranger from the cemetery walked in. Sorry I'm late, he said, not sounding sorry at all. Traffic was murder. He looked directly at me. I'm James Carter, Elliot's son. That's impossible, Marcus said, his face flushing red. We don't have another brother. James pulled out a DNA test and slapped it on the table. Funny thing about family secrets. They don't stay buried forever. Elliot Carter was my biological father. Had an affair with my mother 34 years ago in Fresno. She was his secretary. I did the math. That would have been right around the time Mom was pregnant with me. My stomach churned. This is ridiculous, Vanessa said, but her perfectly manicured nails were digging into her palms. Is it? James asked. Did you really think Elliot was faithful to any of you? Mr. Rhodes examined the documents. These appear to be legitimate. However, Mr. James Carter, you're not mentioned in the will. Because Elliot paid my mother to disappear. $200,000 and a non-disclosure agreement. But NDAs don't survive death, do they? James's smile was sharp. And I'm not here for money. I'm here for answers. What kind of answers? I asked. His eyes met mine. About why our father was murdered. He had a heart attack, Vanessa insisted. Induced by digitalis poisoning. It mimics a heart attack perfectly. I had a friend in the coroner's office run additional tests. He pulled out another paper. Guess what they found? Before anyone could respond, the lights went out. In the darkness, I heard a crash, a scream, and Whiskey barking frantically. When the emergency lighting kicked in seconds later, James was on the floor, blood pooling from a gash on his head. And the toxicology report was gone. If you're still watching, comment family secrets below because this is about to get even crazier. Trust me. The police called it an accident. The power outage was from the storm rolling in, they said. James must have fallen and hit his head on the table corner. But I saw the fear in everyone's eyes. Someone in that room had attacked him. James was hospitalized with a concussion but stable. I left Whiskey with him as protection, which sounds crazy, but that dog had better instincts about people than I did. Before I left the hospital, James grabbed my wrist. Don't trust the lawyer, he whispered. He's in deeper than you think. That night I drove to the old farmhouse alone. Well, not completely alone. I'd retrieved Whiskey, who sat alert in the passenger seat, his golden fur ruffled by the wind through the cracked window. The property was at the far edge of the vineyard, where the premium vines gave way to wild California scrubland. The farmhouse looked like something from a horror movie. Paint peeling, windows boarded, vines crawling up the sides like nature was trying to reclaim it. But the cellar door, hidden behind overgrown blackberry bushes, had a modern lock. Electronic keypad. Definitely not from 2003. Mom died on March 15, 2010. 03152010. The lock clicked open. The cellar was nothing like I expected. LED lights flickered on automatically, revealing a fully finished space. Filing cabinets lined one wall, a desk with a computer, and a wall of photographs that made my blood run cold. They were all of me, from childhood through last month. Me at graduation, me at my wedding, me signing my divorce papers, me walking Whiskey just last week. What the hell, Dad? Whiskey started whining, pawing at one of the filing cabinets. Inside I found financial records going back decades, offshore accounts, shell companies, and payments to someone identified only as VM. The amounts increased over the years, reaching $100,000 monthly by last year. VM Vanessa Moreau, her maiden name, but the payments started in 2008, when Vanessa would have been 14. My hands shook as I dug deeper. Medical records, a paternity test from 2008, but not for James, for Vanessa. The results showed that Elliot Carter was her biological father. I nearly vomited. Vanessa wasn't just my stepmother, she was my half-sister, and she'd married our father. But she had to have known. The payments proved it. She'd been blackmailing him for years, and then what? Decided marriage was more profitable? A sound from upstairs made Whiskey growl. Footsteps, multiple sets. I grabbed what files I could, shoving them into my bag, and clicked off the lights. But it was too late. The cellar door opened, and Vanessa stood silhouetted against the moonlight, Marcus beside her. "Hello, sister," she said, and the venom in that word could have killed a vineyard. "You knew," I said. It wasn't a question. Of course I knew. Did you think I seduced a 60-year-old man for fun? He destroyed my mother, paid her to have me, and then abandoned us. I spent years planning this. Planning what? Marrying your own father. She laughed, cold and bitter. Marriage was just a means to an end. I wanted him to suffer, to be humiliated. But the old bastard had a heart attack before I could reveal the truth publicly. "You killed him," Marcus said quietly, and we both turned to stare at him. "The digitalis. You put it in his wine. I saw you that night, adding something to his glass. I thought it was just your usual controlling behavior, making sure he took his medication." "Prove it," Vanessa snapped. "I don't have to. James already has the toxicology report." "No, he doesn't." Vanessa pulled out a lighter, and my heart stopped. She held it to the papers in her hand, the toxicology report James had brought. Accidents happen in old farmhouses. Electrical fires especially. She dropped the burning papers, and they landed on a pile of old newspapers I hadn't noticed. The flames caught immediately, spreading faster than seemed possible. She'd prepared for this. "You're insane," I screamed, backing toward the stairs, but Marcus blocked the way. "Sorry, Liv. I need my inheritance. I'm in debt up to my eyeballs. Gambling problem, you know how it is." The smoke was already thick, black, choking. Whiskey barked frantically, then did something I'd never seen him do before. He launched himself at Marcus, all 70 pounds of golden retriever hitting him square in the chest. Marcus tumbled backward, and I ran. Up the stairs, through the farmhouse, the flames already licking at the old wood. Vanessa's scream behind me suggested Whiskey had given her the same treatment. "Good boy." We burst out into the night, my lungs burning, just as the first explosion rocked the farmhouse. Gas lines. There must have been old gas lines. I ran for my car, Whiskey beside me, but Vanessa was faster than I expected. She grabbed my hair, yanking me backward. "You don't get to win," she snarled. "You were always his favorite. Perfect Olivia, with her perfect grades and perfect life." "Perfect," I laughed, even as we struggled. "He monitored every moment of my life. Those photos, Vanessa, he was obsessed. Because you were the only one who wasn't his," she said, and the world stopped. "What? Your mother had an affair. You're not a Carter." "He knew it, always knew it." "The pocket watch he left you? Check the inscription." The fire roared behind us, casting dancing shadows. Sirens wailed in the distance. Marcus stumbled out of the farmhouse, his clothes singed, coughing. "You're lying," I said, but my voice shook. "Check the watch." I'd grabbed it from the lawyer's office, kept it in my pocket. With trembling fingers, I opened it. Inside, in tiny engraving, "For Olivia May Rhodes, my true daughter. William Rhodes," as in Mr. Rhodes, the lawyer. The sirens were getting closer. Die Forsking closer. Diabel det Sizhen, the end and get one. They are did die Eddingham gay. Vanessa smiled, triumphant, even in her madness. "So you see, you really don't inherit anything. You're not a Carter at all." That's when Whiskey did something that saved my life, and condemned Vanessa. He'd gone back to the car, and somehow managed to pull my bag out through the open window. The bag with the files I'd taken. Financial records that proved everything. He dropped them at my feet just as the fire trucks arrived. "You forgot one thing," I told Vanessa as the police cars pulled up. "The codicil, anyone who contributed to his death, loses their inheritance. And I have proof of your blackmail, your marriage under false pretenses. And now Marcus just confirmed you poisoned him." Her face went white. "Marcus inherits everything now. Unless," I looked at my brother, who was being checked by paramedics. "Unless he's also complicit. He knew about the poisoning, and didn't report it. That makes him an accessory after the fact." The police separated us then, taking statements, arresting Vanessa for arson and suspicion of murder. Marcus tried to run, but didn't get far with smoke inhalation. As I sat in the back of the ambulance, Whiskey's head in my lap, Mr. Rhodes appeared. "My biological father apparently." "You knew," I said. "It wasn't a question. I loved your mother. But she chose to stay with Elliot to protect you. He would have destroyed us both if she'd left." He sat beside me, looking older than his 70 years. "The second envelope, the one leading you to the cellar, I wrote that. Elliot never knew about it. So there's no secret inheritance." "Oh, there is, just not from Elliot." He handed me another envelope. "Your mother set up a trust before she died. She knew this day would come. She left you everything that was truly hers, including her family's property in Oregon. About $50 million in assets Elliot never knew about." I stared at him. "Mom had $50 million. Your grandfather on her side invented 3 patents that became essential to smartphone technology. She never touched the money, saved it all for you. But it could only be released when the truth came out. Type Whiskey if you think my dog deserves all the treats in the world for saving this whole situation." 6 months later, I stood in the same cemetery, but this time, I was there by choice. The Carter vineyard had been sold to pay for Vanessa's legal fees and Marcus's debts. Both were in prison, Vanessa for murder and Marcus for conspiracy after the fact. James, my half-brother who wasn't really my half-brother anymore, had recovered fully and used his story to write a best-selling true crime book. He sent me a signed copy with a note, "To the only honest Carter, even if you're not one. Ashley got clean. Turns out finding out your entire family was built on lies, and murder was one hell of a wake-up call." She used her trust to open a rehabilitation center. I was proud of her. As for me, I took Mom's money and did something that would have made Elliot Carter roll over in his grave. I bought the old farmhouse land, rebuilt it, and turned it into a sanctuary for abandoned dogs. Whiskey had his own pack now, 30 rescue dogs, who'd found their forever home. Mr. Rhodes, William, my biological father, visited sometimes. We were building something careful and fragile, like trust after a lifetime of lies. He helped me understand why Mom made her choices, why she stayed in a loveless marriage, to protect me from a man who would have destroyed me if he'd had proof I wasn't his. "Your mother knew Elliot had surveillance on you," William told me one afternoon, as we watched the dogs play. "She knew about the photos, the obsessive monitoring. It was his way of looking for proof you weren't his. But she made sure he never found it." "How?" "She convinced him it was love, that he was protecting you. She played into his narcissism, made him believe his obsession was fatherly devotion." He paused. "She was brilliant, your mother. And she loved you more than you'll ever know. I found one last secret a month ago. Hidden in the pocket watch, behind the inscription, was a micro SD card. On it, a video from Mom, recorded a week before she died. 'My darling Olivia,' she said, looking directly at the camera. 'If you're watching this, It means the truth has finally come out. I'm sorry for the lies, for the life I forced you to live. But every choice I made was to protect you from Elliot's cruelty. You were conceived in love, real love, with a man I couldn't be with. But you were raised in strength, learning to survive a monster while keeping your heart intact. The money I left you isn't an inheritance. It's freedom. Use it to become who you were always meant to be, not what Elliot tried to make you. I love you, my brave girl. Be free. I cried for 3 hours after watching it. Whiskey stayed by my side the entire time, his golden head on my lap, absorbing my tears like he'd absorbed all my pain over the years. The truth about families, I learned, isn't in blood or money or names on legal documents. It's in the choices we make, the secrets we keep, and the ones we finally let go. Elliot Carter tried to control us all from beyond the grave, but in the end, his obsession with bloodlines and legacy became his undoing. Vanessa was right about one thing though. I wasn't a Carter, and thank God for that. Standing in the cemetery now, I placed fresh flowers on Mom's grave. Not expensive roses like Elliot always demanded, but wild flowers from the field behind the dog sanctuary. The kind she used to pick with me when I was little, before the weight of secrets bent her shoulders. We're free now, Mom, I whispered, both of us. Whiskey barked once, tail wagging, and I swear I felt her there, finally at peace. But the story doesn't end there. Last week I received a letter. No return address, postmarked from Switzerland. Inside a single line, "You're not the only one he was watching. Check the other filing cabinets." A friend. I went back to where the cellar had been, now excavated and empty. But in the rubble, I found something the fire hadn't destroyed. A metal box, fireproof, with more files. Names, dates, payments. Elliot hadn't just been watching me. He'd been watching dozens of people. Business rivals, judges, politicians, blackmail material stretching back 40 years. The Carter fortune wasn't built on wine. It was built on secrets. I turned everything over to the FBI yesterday. By tomorrow, the Carter name will be synonymous with one of the biggest corruption scandals in California history. Every fortune he built, every life he destroyed, it's all coming to light. Standing here now, watching the sunset over the valley that once belonged to my family, I realize something. Elliot Carter spent his entire life trying to control his legacy. He monitored, manipulated, and murdered to protect it. But in the end, the only legacy that matters is the one we choose to leave behind. Mine won't be money, or land, or a famous name. It'll be 30 rescue dogs with full bellies and warm beds. It'll be the truth, finally told. It'll be freedom, earned the hardest way possible. And it'll be Whiskey, my golden boy, who knew the difference between family and blood long before I did. As we walked back to the car, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "There's more. The real reason your mother stayed. Check your DNA again, not for Carter. For something else." My hand trembled as I read it. After everything, there were still secrets. But that's a story for another day. Right now I had dogs to feed, a sanctuary to run, and a life to live. My life, not Elliot Carter's, not anyone else's, just mine. And for the first time in 28 years, that was enough. If you made it this far, you're amazing. Comment sanctuary if you think Olivia made the right choice, or revenge if you would have burned it all down differently. And remember, sometimes the family we choose is worth more than the family we're born into. What would you have done with the blackmail files? Let me know below.